Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Zero to Profits podcast, a place where I help entrepreneurs just like you stop the money leaks, fix the pay droughts, and finally start running a business that pays you first. Listen, today I want to take y'all back to a time when I thought I was really doing something. I hit a huge milestone in my business. But then I realized when I hit that milestone, I was making the same mistakes that most business owners make all of the time. Like real talk, 9 out of the 10 folks get it wrong and they don't even realize it. Y'all look, I had just crossed at that time $500,000 in revenue, half a million. And man, I felt like I was finally getting somewhere. But here's the truth. I barely had enough money to pay my rent. And better yet, not only did I have not money not to pay my rent, but I couldn't pay myself either. Right? I remember sitting in my office, lights were on, bills were stacked, and this huge knot in my stomach. Like, man, how am I bringing in all this money, but yet I still live like I'm invoice to invoice? I felt so ashamed. I was embarrassed. It was like I was failing at the very thing I built in the business. This was my baby, and it seemed like it was dying to me. Listen, I had built a business that looked successful on the outside, but behind the scenes, I was so stressed, frustrated because I felt stuck. But after that moment, I just said, you know what? I'm just going to get off my butt and I'm going to get to work because I realized this was not sustainable. Not just for my sanity. I couldn't keep running a business that couldn't even pay me. I had to figure out what was broken. And that's when I discovered something I now call the wealth triangle. That lesson helped me realize something bigger. And this is the reason why we build businesses in the first place. Not just to make money, but to create freedom, to build something that takes care of us. Not just our clients or our customers, not just our team, but us as the owners, the creators of the very thing we are passionate to call our own, right? And that was my wake up call when I realized that, right? What I figured out was there were three reasons, or better yet, corners of creating true wealth. The first one was make money. The second was manage money. And the third one was multiply money. Now, listen, this is where most of us mess up. Once we start to make money, especially if we've never seen money before, we immediately try to jump from making money to just try to flip it, to multiply, right? Investing, scaling, doing all this big stuff. And some of us, if we never seen this money before, we'll foolishly go out and start buying stuff to upgrade ourselves without any further thought. But when we do that, any of those things, we're skipping the middle part, managing it. And that's the part that keeps us broke. It's the very reason that keeps us broke because of a very important principle that I realized. You can't multiply what you don't control. So let me break down three lessons that I learned, and I had to learn these the hard way. And y'all, I'm not gonna lie, these lessons hurt, but they also healed me. And they saved my business, they saved my marriage, and they saved my future. They helped me understand what was really broken in my business and what needed to be rebuilt if I ever wanted to stop surviving and started thriving. So listen, the first lesson, the first lesson was that revenue ain't a paycheck. I learned this in the past because I would close a $15,000 client and feel so good about myself. But then 2 weeks later, I'm back looking at the account and I'm like, where did all the money go? It went to my team. It went to my tools. It went to my taxes. And the rest went to pay other bills. And before you know it, everybody around me got paid except me. Here is what I had to learn. Just because your business makes money doesn't mean that you get to keep it because income isn't the same as owner pay. I also had to learn another hard lesson. If you don't set aside money for yourself first, your business will eat every dollar. So my question for you is this. You built the business. You're running the business. You're the one in the background making the sales. You're the one doing the hard work. You're the one making sure the customer and the whole entire experience is successful. So why are you always the last one in line to get paid in your own business? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. The math ain't mathing, right? Because if you were working for somebody else, you would make absolutely sure you were paid on time and you will be fighting tooth and nail for those bonuses in your paycheck. So why are you fighting for this in your own business? And the worst part, before I got to this truth, I started to resent my own business. It felt like I had created a job I couldn't quit, one that demanded everything from me and gave me nothing back. The kind of pressure that messes with your self-worth, right? I started to wonder if maybe I just wasn't cut out for this, and maybe I should just go sell and sell my business and get back to a salary job, right? But deep down, I knew that wasn't about effort. I knew it was about structure for me. And that's when I had to ask myself, what if hustle isn't the answer? So then I discovered the second lesson. Hustle just ain't the answer. It's about ownership. Now, before I realized that, my first thought was simple. I just needed to work harder, take more calls, see more clients, put out more hustle. I figured the money problem would fix itself. All I need to do is keep pushing and grow the client base. But guess what? It didn't. It only made things worse. For one, it had me working 12-hour days, barely sleeping, barely eating. And guess what? I was still broke, disgusted, and still behind. Two, I started taking in the wrong clients because I felt like I needed the income because I needed to pay myself. But all that did was brought on more types of headaches and even more stress. Then it was a conversation I had with a client that was doing over 3 million a year that changed everything for me. I was going over his books and I found some tax savings for him. And y'all, the dude was so happy that he looked me square in my eyes. He was in tears and he said, Mac, I don't even know if I can pay myself this month. You just don't know how much this tax fund means to me right now. And I remember thinking, wow, it's not just me. Even the people who look like they're winning on paper are stuck in the same trap. That truth hit me in the face like a ton of bricks. I thought, if he's feeling that way, and I know I'm feeling that way, there's something deeper gotta be off, right? And that's when it clicked for me. This ain't just about working hard. This is about thinking and moving like an owner. So you see, hustlers, they chase money. Owners, they manage money. Hustlers will always burn out because you can only hustle for so long. But owners, they build systems that can last lifetimes. Which one are you going to be, right? That's when I realized I had to stop working like an employee in my own business and start leading like a CEO that I was, right? I'll be honest with you. That shift didn't happen overnight. It sounded good, but I had to unlearn a whole lot of old bad practices. There were moments where mentally I wanted to go back to that grind because finances were still an issue. And mentally, I just kept telling myself a few times that, man, look, at least that was familiar. You can always go slang some 1040s and make a few bucks to pay a bill. But here's the thing. I knew that if I kept moving that same way, I'd get the same results. So I had to step out on faith and I had to lean into that discomfort. And that's when eventually everything started to shift, right? Slowly but surely it did. Even after shifting my mindset, something still wasn't right. I wasn't hustling the same way, but the money was still kind of disappearing, right? And that's when I had to face one more hard truth. It was doing this next lesson, I realized that the difference between a hustler, I actually realized the difference of what a hustler is and what an owner was. The third lesson was, if you don't control it, it will disappear. So picture this. 1 month, I was bringing in 50,000. And at the time, it was one of our best months ever. But then 2 weeks later, money gone. I couldn't immediately tell you where the money went. No reserve, no tracking, no plan. And then I realized I wasn't watching my numbers because I was moving way too fast because my focus was on trying to multiply the firm and I was focused on growth. I had KPIs, but I wasn't checking them consistently. I also realized I didn't have any tight controls in place. The bill came in, I just spent it. So I had to get back to one of the most important points of this lesson, which is if you don't track the money, you can't control the money. So what I did to fix this was I put in some very tight systems. I kept them simple, but I went back to reviewing weekly cash flow reports. I started checking my profit margins and setting standards for myself. And then I tracked what I was spending versus what I was keeping. I put limits in place. I built some dashboards. I started watching my key performance indicators, KPIs, like it was my job, because guess what? That's what it is. That's what an owner is supposed to do. Every dollar had a job. Some of the money paid me. Some of it went to taxes. Some of it stacked up in reserves. Some of it stayed in the business to pay bills. I had a system that caused me to have to not guess anymore. There were no more blind spots. It was just simple clarity, control, and consistency. The 3 C's to building a legacy, right? Once I figured that out and I started implementing that, that's when I finally felt like I was leading and not reacting. And it brought me peace. And that peace, oh, it was priceless. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Again, I'm going to remind you, revenue is not your paycheck. Hustle is not a strategy. You will burn out. And then the last, if you don't manage your money, it will disappear. And the reason why is that middle part of that wealth triangle, the managed money part, is what makes the difference. So if this sounds like your situation, I got something that can help you, and it help you pretty fast. On August 8th, I'm hosting a free live training called The 3 Money Mistakes That Are Causing Your Business to Bleed Cash, and the one solution that can fix it in 30 days. I'm going to walk you through exactly what's draining your money and how to stop the leaks, right? So if you are tired of working hard and still coming up short, I want you to do one thing. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to like this video and then hit the subscribe button so that way when we drop the registration link, you can be notified immediately. Listen, if you are going through this pain in your business, you can't afford not to be in the room when we do this training, because you didn't build your business just to work. You built it to pay you. So again, I thank you so much for tuning in to the Zero to Profits podcast. I'll catch you guys next time.